What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. So, look, I just saw, I think it was an IFL video with Dillian Whyte. And Dillian Whyte was giving his take on the Anthony Joshua Kubrat Pulev fight. Now, you do know there's bad blood between Dillian Whyte and AJ. So, Dillian Whyte is never going to just say AJ looked good. AJ, on the other hand, he will give Dillian Whyte credit or full credit far before Dillian Whyte will do the same thing. Okay, and I also watched the video of Tyson Fury talking his nonsense. So, look, this is how this goes, man. You know, when we talk about fighters evolving, let me break this down as to what I'm hearing and seeing in Dillian Whyte and why he thinks the way he does, okay? First off, like I said, he doesn't want to give AJ full credit for anything he does. So even when he says, he won, the main thing is he won. What he's saying, it was a weird victory. It's like he's stuck in between styles. It's like I'm boxing, I'm punching, he should have finished, Pulev off. I thought he had him when he let him back into the fight. Now, isn't it funny how everybody can break down somebody else's fight, but when it comes to themselves, they make the same or worse mistakes? This wasn't about so much mistakes AJ was making, okay? AJ was fighting his fight, just like Dillian Whyte was fighting his fight against Povetkin. Yes, I didn't see Povetkin, Povetkin win not one round against Dillian, and I didn't see Kubrat Pulev win not one round against AJ. And even to say, how he's never knocked anybody out in devastating fashion, and he's, even in his prime, he wasn't a great fighter. Okay, well, here's the thing. Povetkin also is a good fighter, but not seen as the greatest fighter in the world. So, at the same time, AJ fought his fight and he won. You fought your fight and you lost. See, this is what I mean about people. You can't listen to fighters and take what they're saying to face value if it doesn't make sense. If you're trying to, what I think he's trying to know. We're all saying, look, it's self-explanatory what he said. But my thing is this. Why I feel like he says those kind of things is because he don't like AJ. 1, 2, Dillian Whyte has this headstrong mentality of I'm going to fight one way. And he feels like a fighter should get more respect for doing so versus a fighter who can show versatility. How can you evolve as a fighter when you get knocked out with one punch, winning every round, and then say, I'm going to fight the same way? I'm just a few things I'm going to change and that's it. Everything else stays the same. Okay. But at the same time, what does that have to do with you, how AJ chooses to fight, that anybody chooses to fight? I don't feel like AJ was stuck in between styles. He was giving them different looks. That's what starts to happen when you evolve as a fighter. Look, with Lennox Lewis, before he got with Emmanuel Stewart, Lennox Lewis, he was knocking people out, but he was doing it robotically. He would jab, but the jab wasn't his main focus. His main focus was to knock you out. I want to get close and land a hard shot. Okay? When he got with Emmanuel Stewart, he learned how to stay behind that stick and work off of it. Throw the power shots, wear you down, break you down, then get the knockout. So his knockouts were coming later than they was before. Okay? Now, I've heard the commentators when they were saying Kubrat Pulev couldn't get close. He was lunging instead of getting close. The reason that he was lunging is because he doesn't have the foot speed, okay, or the head movement to get in without getting hit. So the closer he tries to get, AJ can fight on the inside. People forget that. And what happened is it's not like Pulev is faster than AJ, okay? And so he had to lunge in order to try to land something. What you think all the hitting behind the head and all that was for? He was trying to get him out of his rhythm, trying to get him out of his game plan and make him fight in a way where hopefully he can catch AJ with something. Look, we've never seen AJ get knocked out with one shot. We've seen him get dropped When he, we saw what happened with the Ruiz fight. And again, people keep saying, "Oh, but he has a weak chin. He's iffy." No, no. When you get dropped and get up, you don't. It's not. Same with Felix Trinidad. We used to see him get dropped, didn't get up and knock the guy out. Okay, he would get dropped. Point that I'm getting at with that is this. Okay, you are the fighter. You know what you're training on. You know what you feel comfortable doing. He didn't look at all like he was shook or unconfident in himself. I think people have always seen AJ as being unconfident from when he first fought Klitschko. And AJ is just honest about how he feels and how he sees things. So even when he says he was questioning himself when he lost to Ruiz, saying like maybe, I'm asking, should I be here? Do I belong here? So people are questioning his confidence in that sense. And the fact that he's not knocking people out 2 rounds, 3 rounds like he was doing early in his career. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Look, to be able to fight for 12 rounds or however long it goes and control the fight, whether it goes the distance or whether you wind up getting a late knockout, the bottom line is you win. Dillian Whyte said that. Yes, the bottom line is he won, and he won in astonishing fashion. But then he goes and says, but it was a weird way. Like the way he was fighting was weird. No, he's doing something that you don't know how to do. That's the whole thing. He was giving them different looks. Like when he would jab to the body, jab to the head. Then it's times he wasn't jabbing to the body. He was just jab to the head. Then he would jab to the body. Right? Then he was giving them. He would fight on the back foot. He would come forward. He would stand there as a stalemate. He was doing all of that. He's mixing it up. He's giving them different looks. He's feinting. He's moving his head all the time. Things that Dillian Whyte need to learn how to do. But if your pride makes you say, nah, man, I'm going to stick to the way I've always been fighting, and that's just me, and that's just you. Should you go in here, fight Povetkin in the rematch, and get knocked out again? What are you going to say then? And I'm hoping that Dillian Whyte gets the win. But this whole focus of trying to give a half-ass congratulations is like, this is what some fighters do. Look, what did Tyson Fury say about AJ a few weeks ago? He gave him props on how he came back, how he handled his defeat like a man, like a real champion, came back and got his title back. What did he just say the other day, last night? He's a big bum dasa, and I can't wait to knock him out. Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, the kind of person, if he came and give you a gift, right, you should probably stand there at the door. As soon as he says, okay, goodbye, me come back later, right? You should stand there with your gift and count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, I changed my mind. You're a bum dasa. Give me my gift back. Tyson Fury, he credits you, he discredits you. That doesn't matter. I can care less about what any fighter says about another fighter. He said he'll knock out AJ within 3 rounds, right? Did he do that? When he fought Otto Wallin, he couldn't knock him out. How are you going to knock out AJ in 3 rounds? I mean, stuff happens, but I doubt that. I don't see that happening. Okay, he also said, he's going to knock out Deontay Wilder in 2 or 3 rounds. He got the stoppage. You understand what I'm saying? But not like he said he was going to do. He dominated. He won every round. He definitely destroyed him. But again, it doesn't matter. He's trying to hype this fight up. Here's the thing, okay? Nothing etched in stone right now. We don't know for a fact that Fury and AJ are fighting. And we know that there's a possibility that Fury may have to fight against Wilder. We don't know that. The December 5th fight didn't happen. We've never heard about another fight taking place. He was looking for an opponent, and then Wilder turns around and says he's moved on. He's fighting someone else. So we don't know how soon that fight is going to be. So there's no need to hype up something that's not going to happen right away. And that fight I want to see most definitely. But look, if you're calling the unified champ of the world a bum, and you'll knock him out in 2 or 3 rounds. Well, if AJ's not worthy, then who's worthy? If Tyson Fury's not worthy to AJ, then who's worthy? All right? So basically, the top guys that you're going to fight, you call them bums, they're this, they're that, they're not on your level, but then yet you fight lesser fighters and give them props. Come on, this is just foolish talk that fighters do. It's stupid in a way to me, because to promote a fight by saying somebody's a bum and somebody's overrated, and then and that's not the case. Once they fight, we'll see what happens. Personally, I'm going with AJ to beat any of these guys. We'll see, though. And like I said, if he lose, he lose. But by no way, shape, or form do I feel like Fury's a superior fighter. Like, there's nothing AJ can do to win. No. And I think that people who say that, they just don't like AJ. And for the people who just think that Tyson Fury's better, okay, we will see, hopefully. But that fight is not said to be next. We keep hearing about it. Until I hear the promoters get together and they actually have a date and we have some substantial news that says, hey, this is actually happening, it's something that's in the works that they want to happen, but they haven't even scratched the surface yet as far as the terms and where and why and how and when and all that. None of that. So how can we get excited about a fight that we don't know that's happening? We want to see that fight. But again, the half-ass credit, this is what these fighters do. AJ is probably like pretty much the only heavyweight that actually says, hey, I salute both of those guys, even when these guys have nothing but negative things to say about him. If you guys think that truthfully Dillian Whyte or Tyson Fury really believes that AJ's trash, don't lie to yourselves. They don't even believe that. In fact, you know, when this guy asked Dillian Whyte what, you know, who he think would win the fight between AJ and Fury, I don't know, with heavyweight boxing, you don't know what could happen, right? He don't want to say, because truthfully, I don't think he really likes either one of them personally. I think he probably hates AJ more, but I don't think Dillian really wants to say anything nice about either one of them, especially Fury, because, you know, Fury turns around. Fury doesn't have anything nice to say about him, so I don't think he really cares. But don't think that as a fighter, this man doesn't know that either one of those guys is a threat to him and vice versa. So at the end of the day, just looking at these videos, man, it's kind of funny to me because people make so much more out of them than what they actually are. But in all actuality, look, AJ just did his thing. He won that fight in great fashion. And in fact, if you look at the two fighters and say who's evolved more, well, AJ's performance, if you compare his performance against, look, Derek Chisora was outboxing Dillian Whyte, and Dillian Whyte got the knockout, right? Dillian Whyte was outboxing Povetkin, and then he got knocked out. AJ knocked out Povetkin, and he knocked out Dillian Whyte. So to actually talk as if you have a better strategy for AJ than he has for himself when he beat you, what are you saying, right? Think about it. What sense does that make? I mean, if AJ looked like he was in between styles, so you couldn't figure it out, it's because he's doing things that you don't have the ability to do. And he won every round doing it. And there was no rounds where he just slightly he won. He dominated the fight. He got the knockout, like you said, right? That's the main thing. He got the knockout. Exactly. Even if it would have went the distance. And let's get it clear, okay? There was 4 knockdowns altogether. Okay? So I don't see how, even for the people that's trying to, you know, come up with this, oh, he looks subpar. Oh, he didn't look like he was, he better stay away from Fury. He better stay away from Wilder. Oh, he's not, whatever. You gave him his half-ass credit, but at the same time, think about this. You're in a position right now where you have to win your fight. Because the same way he's saying this is heavyweight boxing, you never know what could happen, right? You better hope that you don't let Povetkin land that one, because you know all he needs is one. And you know, Dean Whyte says he think that Dillian should just jump on Povetkin. But to be perfectly honest with you, and you never know, he might land a shot, get him out of there, who knows? But he also puts himself in harm's way. Let's be real. He put Povetkin down, but Povetkin got up. He put Dillian down. Dillian didn't get up. So it's easy to say, I think he should do this and do that. See, I think part of the problem with Dillian Whyte too is this. The longer you have to be disciplined and fight a 12-round fight, the more of a chance you give a puncher to catch you and get you out of there. So let's try to get the knockout as quick as we possibly can because, hey, I want to make this a short night. You understand? I don't believe at all, when you really think about it, I don't really believe at all that Dillian Whyte's a bum. AJ's no bum. Fury's no bum. Okay? There's a lot of fighters When you look at the heavyweight landscape that want to, be that next guy, outside of them, I would have to say Joe Joyce. You got to look at Joe Joyce, Usyk. Usyk as a heavyweight, I mean, he's a heavyweight now, so he's going to have to deal with the size disadvantage. We can't keep talking about how he's a smaller guy. Hey, it is what it is. Wilder's name is still in that hat, obviously, because he has something to prove too. Let's not be fooled. Daniel Dubois had a situation. We got to see how he bounces back. Outside of those guys, there's Andy Ruiz, and Joseph Parker's name is still in that hat. But outside of those guys that I just named, everybody else is still trying to get that name, trying to get that recognition, because there's fighters that these guys can fight that it's not going to be a big deal because the opponents is not seen as, such a threat. So if the top 3 guys are gonna, top 5 guys and all, they're gonna, everybody's gonna say this guy's not this and that. We had F.A. and John, but telling everybody he was better than Anthony Joshua right now. We had Daniel Dubois team saying that they could beat Dillian Whyte right now, and we saw what happened with Joe Joyce. Now maybe Joe Joyce is a bigger threat than people want to acknowledge. He showed us all a lot. He showed us, I mean, his durability. We knew he had a chin. We knew his conditioning was crazy. But, Joe Joyce, now you got to look at the landscape has changed somewhat. There's more people right now that we're looking at now that we wasn't looking at before as top guys. Okay, so let's not be fooled, man. But it just always amazes me, man, how Dillian Whyte he finds a way to half-ass credit AJ. But then he'll turn around and say, well, I mean, he did a good job. He won in a big way. But there's always a but, Tyson Fury is just Tyson Fury. Same thing. Like I said, he credits you today and discredits you tomorrow. So I just wanted to get that video out, man. I saw that. I was watching some things. I've been listening to a lot of reactions and stuff. Pretty much the same thing that I've seen already. When I saw the fight, it was just kind of funny to me how I'm watching this man win every single round. And then later on, I said, let me see what everybody's talking about with this guy, with the actual fight. To see if anybody, like how many people just will come out and say, hey, you know what, man, props to AJ. He did his thing. Kubrat Pulev came to do what he had to do. And like I said, man, the rough house, dirty tactics, I'm not a fan of it, but I understand what he was trying to do. He wasn't trying to make AJ do it back to him. He was trying to make AJ lose his cool and get off task and decide to fight differently from the way he trained to fight. What I see with AJ, when he needs that destroyer mentality to come out, it's there. He's just waiting to strike. He's waiting for the right time. He's learned that. You don't just go gun out. People were saying, oh, AJ was gassed out. He was tired. If he would have went 2 more rounds, Pulev would have knocked him out. I mean, like, these stupid things that people would say, like, wow, what round was this in? Because I definitely must have missed it. Just crazy nonsense. Pretty much, he's waiting. He knows he can fight in the back foot now. He can use his legs to get out of harm's way when he needs to. He has quick hands. He has great, look, AJ has good reflexes. I've seen him dip a lot of big shots, make a miss. And a lot of times when Pulev would miss a shot, he'd tie him up or he'd come in so close that their bodies would bang and he would, and, all the hitting behind their head and everything. But AJ unloaded on him several times in that fight. And Pulev had nothing. There was not one time when AJ was throwing shots was Pulev trying to brawl back with him. No. When he's punching, he stops punching. And Pulev basically is not the better boxer. Going into that fight, I felt that. Okay? But at the same time, AJ showed maturity, man. He showed that he's evolving as a fighter. He showed so much more. And, I think what people imagine, he's going to just be on the back foot all night, trying to stay out of harm's way, just trying to get a decision, which you do what you have to do. That's just the fight game, whether people like it or not. One of the worst things you can try to do is try to fight for the fans' approval. You got to fight to win a fight. The people booing and cheering are not in the ring with you. So whether they want you to win or they want you to lose, you have to stay focused, follow your game plan. It's as simple as that. Every fight is going to get criticism. I don't care who you are. It's just, plain and simple. So, we don't know what's going to happen. We got to wait and see what's going to happen with Fury. Is he going to fight someone else, then fight Wilder? Is he going to fight AJ? Because from what we understand, Usyk is the next mandatory for AJ. So none of this is happening right away if it does happen, but that's the fight that we want to see. I think the meat of it all is basically the point of people wanting to see AJ versus Fury more so than wanting to see a rematch with Fury versus Wilder. We already seen that dance twice, and pretty much, I mean, I have no interest in that fight, but if it did happen, I can understand why it's happening, but I'm just not crazy about that fight. I just want, if it happens, I want to get out the way, may the best man win, and let's see what happens with AJ versus that person. So at the end of the day, I don't think it would be wise for AJ to drop his belt just so he could fight, drop his WBO belt just so he could fight Fury. You want it to unify, man. I got a feeling if AJ drops any of those belts, we're going to wind up having a situation where instead of the best fighting the best, it's going to be one of these crazy negotiation things. No, I want 50-50. It's some kind of crap where the fights are just prolonged now. And I believe as long as AJ has real estate and he's the unified champ, it's a better chance of those fights happening than him losing titles. Certain fighters, Dillian might jump in right away, who knows? But you just never know, because what I'm saying, when people get real estate in boxing, they start to get more money, they start to get some more notoriety, they get more power, they start to see things different, and before you know it, certain fights don't happen. So we just got to see what happens. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say in this video. I will catch y'all on the next one.